Alex Kim minimized the code window on his laptop as his family settled around the dining table at Morton's Steakhouse, their father's choice for celebrating his brother David's latest promotion to partner at his law firm. The familiar rhythm of family gatherings had already begun, David's achievements taking center stage while Alex's work was dismissed as an elaborate form of digital entertainment that he'd hopefully outgrow before reaching true adulthood. At 28, Alex had grown accustomed to being the family disappointment. While David impressed relatives with stories about high-profile legal cases and substantial partnership bonuses, Alex spent his days in what the family understood as playing with computers, coding applications and building software systems that seemed to have no connection to serious career advancement or financial success. "Alex, honey, put that laptop away," his mother, Dr. Susan Kim, said with the practiced patience of someone who'd been managing what she considered her son's technology addiction for over a decade. "David's sharing some exciting news about his firm's expansion, and you should be learning about real career opportunities instead of staring at that screen." Their father, Dr. James Kim, had built his orthodontic practice through traditional professional networking and understood success primarily through conventional metrics: prestigious degrees, partnership tracks, and visible social status. Alex's preference for working from his apartment, his casual dress code, and his apparent satisfaction with what seemed like freelance computer work represented everything Dr. Kim found troubling about his younger son's life choices. "The problem with Alex," Dr. Kim had explained to his golf partners just last week, "is that he's incredibly intelligent but completely misdirected. He could have been a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, something substantial. Instead, he sits in his room all day typing code that, as far as I can tell, doesn't produce anything tangible or profitable." David had embraced his role as the family's professional success story with characteristic confidence. At 31, he'd built exactly the kind of legal career their parents understood and respected: corporate law partnerships, six-figure salary, expense account dinners, and networking relationships with Fortune 500 executives. His achievements provided constant contrast to Alex's apparently aimless dedication to software development. "Look, little brother," David said with the condescending affection that had defined their relationship since childhood, "I understand the appeal of technology work, but at some point you need to think about building a real career. My firm's tech clients pay us serious money for legal services. Maybe I could introduce you to someone who could help you transition into a more legitimate role in the industry." The offer was delivered as generosity, but it reflected the family's complete misunderstanding of Alex's actual work and achievements. While David celebrated landing his latest corporate client, Alex quietly managed the technical infrastructure that powered several applications with millions of users worldwide, work he'd never bothered explaining because his family had already decided that anything involving computers was inherently less serious than traditional professional careers. Their extended family had reinforced this hierarchy at every gathering. Aunt Helen, a successful real estate agent, would ask David detailed questions about his legal victories while politely inquiring whether Alex had found a real job yet. Uncle Robert, who owned a construction company, treated David as a peer in business discussions while offering Alex occasional suggestions about getting out of the house more and meeting people in professional environments. "The thing that worries me about Alex," their mother had confided to her sister, "is that he's so isolated in this computer world. David has colleagues, clients, professional relationships that advance his career. Alex just sits alone writing code that might never amount to anything meaningful." The family's concern was genuine but fundamentally misguided. They saw Alex's preference for working independently as evidence of social limitations rather than recognition of his extraordinary technical expertise. His reluctance to discuss specific projects was interpreted as proof that his work lacked the substance and significance that characterized David's legal practice. As lunch progressed, the conversation inevitably centered on David's latest professional triumph: securing a major corporate client whose legal needs would likely generate substantial revenue for his firm over the next several years. The family listened with rapt attention as David detailed the complexity of the negotiations and the sophisticated legal strategies that had won the account. "This is exactly what I mean about building real professional relationships," Dr. Kim announced with obvious pride. "David's success comes from understanding how business actually works: client development, strategic thinking, measurable results. These are the skills that create lasting careers and financial security." Alex continued reviewing code on his laptop, his attention split between family dynamics and several urgent notifications from his development team about a critical system update that required immediate deployment. His apparent disinterest in David's achievements was noted by everyone at the table, interpreted as either jealousy or evidence of his disconnection from serious professional accomplishments. "Alex, sweetheart, you're being rude," Dr. Susan Kim observed. "David is sharing important career news and you're playing with that computer again. Maybe you could learn something about professional success if you paid attention to how your brother builds relationships and advances his career." David leaned back with satisfaction as the family's attention focused entirely on his achievements. The key to success in any field is understanding that relationships matter more than technical skills. "I could probably do Alex's computer work if I wanted to, but Alex couldn't handle the relationship management and strategic thinking that my legal practice requires." The comparison stung because it reflected the family's persistent belief that Alex's technical expertise was somehow less intellectually demanding than David's legal work. Their parents had never quite grasped that software architecture required the same analytical rigor as legal strategy, or that managing distributed systems serving millions of users involved complexity that exceeded most traditional professional challenges. "Maybe Alex could benefit from David's networking contacts," Uncle Robert suggested during dessert. "I'm sure some of David's corporate clients need basic IT support or website maintenance. It might help Alex transition from hobby programming to actual business applications." The suggestion that Alex needed David's help finding basic IT support work demonstrated how completely the family misunderstood both his current responsibilities and his professional capabilities. While they imagined him struggling to find entry-level technology jobs, Alex managed infrastructure that processed billions of transactions daily for some of the world's largest technology companies. Dr. Kim seized the opportunity to deliver what had become his standard lecture about Alex's career trajectory. "The problem, Alex, is that you've never learned to think strategically about your future. David understood from law school that success requires building professional relationships, developing expertise that clients value, and creating measurable impact in the real world." Alex's phone buzzed with another urgent notification, this time from his legal team about final contract negotiations for an acquisition deal that had been developing for months. The timing was particularly ironic given the family's discussion about David's supposedly superior understanding of business relationships and professional achievement. "Are you even listening, Alex?" David asked with growing irritation. "We're trying to have a serious conversation about career development, and you're completely absorbed in whatever game or social media nonsense you're looking at." The accusation that Alex was distracted by games or social media while actually managing critical business operations for a multi-billion-dollar acquisition perfectly encapsulated his family's fundamental misunderstanding of his work and its significance. At exactly 2:30 p.m., as the family lingered over coffee and David concluded his presentation about legal career advancement strategies, the restaurant's manager approached their table with obvious nervousness and barely contained excitement. Behind him walked a man whose presence immediately shifted the energy of the entire dining room. Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, flanked by two discreet security personnel and a woman carrying the leather portfolio typical of executive assistants managing sensitive corporate business. The conversation at the Kim family table stopped mid-sentence as Cook approached Alex directly. "Mr. Kim, I apologize for interrupting your lunch, but we have some urgent matters to discuss regarding the acquisition finalization. The board meeting moved up to 4 o'clock, and we need your technical assessment before we can proceed." David's coffee cup remained frozen halfway to his lips as Cook continued addressing Alex with obvious professional respect. "Your infrastructure analysis was brilliant. Exactly the kind of technical due diligence our acquisition team needed. The way you identified those scalability bottlenecks potentially saved us millions in integration costs." Dr. Kim stared in complete bewilderment as the Apple CEO consulted with his son about what appeared to be a major corporate transaction. Cook's executive assistant opened her portfolio to reveal documentation that clearly identified Alex as the lead technical consultant on what she described as the largest software acquisition in Apple's corporate history. "The acquisition value is $2.8 billion, Cook explained to Alex, apparently oblivious to the stunned family members surrounding the table. "Your recommendation to restructure the integration timeline was exactly right. Our technical teams have confirmed that your proposed architecture will reduce deployment risk by approximately 60%. Alex closed his laptop and stood to shake hands with one of the world's most influential CEOs while his family processed the impossible scene unfolding before them. Cook continued with professional enthusiasm. Honestly, your technical leadership on this project has been extraordinary. It's rare to find someone who can analyze complex distributed systems with such precision while understanding the business implications of technical decisions. The restaurant's other diners had begun recognizing Cook, creating a buzz of excitement that highlighted the surreal nature of what was happening at the Kim family table. Dr. Susan Kim gripped her husband's arm as Cook detailed Alex's role in what he described as one of the most technically sophisticated acquisitions Apple has ever attempted. Mr. Kim's consulting work has been invaluable, Cook told his executive assistant, apparently reviewing Alex's contributions for some kind of internal documentation. His ability to assess technical risk while maintaining strategic perspective is exactly what we need for complex integration projects like this one. David found his voice, though it emerged as barely audible. Alex, you work with Apple? You're consulting for Tim Cook. Alex has been our lead technical consultant for the past 18 months, Cook responded matter-of-factly. His expertise in distributed systems architecture makes him indispensable for evaluating acquisition targets. The software company we're purchasing today represents Alex's recommendation. He identified them as having the most scalable technology platform we've evaluated. Resolution. Cook's departure from Morton Steakhouse left the Kim family sitting in stunned silence around a table littered with the remnants of their celebration lunch for David's legal partnership. An achievement that now seemed remarkably small compared to Alex's role as lead technical consultant for the world's most valuable technology company. The $2.8 billion acquisition that Alex had architected dwarfed any legal transaction David had ever been involved with, while his 18 months of consulting work for Apple represented influence within the technology industry that exceeded anything their family had ever imagined possible. The computer games they had mocked were revealed as technical expertise that shaped decisions affecting millions of users worldwide. Within hours, news of the Apple acquisition began appearing in technology publications, with several articles specifically mentioning Alex's role in the technical due diligence process that had enabled the deal. The family's dismissal of his hobby programming was exposed as ignorance about one of the most significant corporate transactions in recent technology history. Dr. Kim's lecture about building professional relationships and measurable career impact was rendered absurd by the revelation that Alex maintained consulting relationships with multiple Fortune 500 technology companies, while David's corporate legal work had never approached the scale or complexity of Alex's technical consulting practice. The family's concern about Alex's social isolation and lack of professional networking evaporated as they realized his preference for working independently reflected the extraordinary security clearances and confidentiality requirements that governed his consulting work with companies whose acquisition strategies were worth billions of dollars. David's offer to help Alex find basic IT support work became a family embarrassment that highlighted his complete misunderstanding of his brother's professional capabilities and industry influence. His legal expertise, while valuable, operated within a completely different sphere of impact than Alex's technical architecture work that affected global technology infrastructure. Alex continued his consulting practice with characteristic discretion, accepting new projects with major technology companies while his family struggled to reconcile their years of condescension with the reality of his extraordinary professional achievements and industry recognition. The Morton Steakhouse lunch became a permanent reminder that their understanding of professional success had systematically undervalued the most accomplished family member, someone whose technical expertise influenced corporate decisions worth billions while they celebrated $1,000 legal retainers. Alex never corrected their assumptions about his work or gloated about their spectacular misjudgment of his career significance. He simply continued building software systems that powered the technology industry while they adjusted to the reality that his computer playing represented expertise beyond anything they had achieved in their traditional professional careers.